On the wedding day, everything fell apart because Jia discovered Chen Huyuan and I were getting married. She had a heart attack on the spot, and Chen Huyuan announced the wedding was cancelled. The groom ditched the bride, princess carrying another woman away. I became the punchline. Guests pointed and whispered, calling me vicious and a murderer. Even Chen Huyuan snapped, "Why wasn't it you who got sick?" After I threw the wedding dress into the trash, 7 years of love finally felt released. Once Chen Huyuan left, the friends and guests I had graciously invited all swarmed around me. Their tone was mocking. "You have to own up when you do something wrong, Lucini. Hurry up and apologize to Xiaojia, or I won't consider you my friend anymore. Since the wedding didn't happen, give me back all the money I contributed." This is really bad luck. The malice in their words was undisguised, yet I didn't feel a hint of sadness. Ignoring them, I walked straight out of the wedding venue, tossing the discarded wedding dress into a trash can. The wedding was held halfway up a mountain, with hardly any cars passing by. I walked barefoot on the road. Just then, Chen Huyuan called. As soon as I answered, he started accusing me without preamble. "I kept Jejia hidden so well, why did you have to slip up and let her find out?" Yes, he certainly kept her hidden well. The wedding venue was chosen in a desolate, remote mountain area, everything kept simple, and neither his friends nor his parents were invited. Only my friends were invited, yet the venue still felt empty. His tone was harsh. "Jejia didn't agree to this wedding in the first place. Now look, you brought this on yourself. After she found out, we can't get married now." Hearing this, I scoffed. "What, is Jia your mother or your father? Do you need her permission to get married?" My words choked him up. After a long pause, he finally spoke, sounding magnanimous. "Okay, just apologize to Jejia, and she'll forgive you. Maybe our wedding can still happen. No need." Hearing me say this, he seemed confused. "No need? No need for what?" He scoffed. "Are you saying you don't want to get married? Don't be ridiculous." It wasn't surprising he didn't believe me. After all, we'd been together for 7 years, and I'd proposed to him for 6. Getting married had become my obsession. I opened my mouth, just about to say something else. But then Chen Jia's voice came through the phone. "Huyuan Gu, were you saying you were going to get married?" Chen Huyuan on the other end immediately denied it. No, there's no way I'd marry her." The next second, the call ended, and I was completely cast aside. At that moment, a sudden heavy rain began, drenching me head to toe. The cold rain, however, jolted me awake. The obsession with getting married had finally turned to dust. When I got home, I found I had a fever, and my throat felt like it was on fire. After taking some medicine, I fell asleep. I woke up in a daze and thought I saw Chen Huyuan. He gently stroked my cheek. His expression was vastly different from when he'd yelled at me at the wedding venue just a short while ago. Seeing me sit up, he handed me a luxury shopping bag he was holding. "Even though the wedding didn't happen, you still need a ring." I opened it and saw the receipt was still inside. It had just been bought. It turned out he hadn't prepared anything before the wedding at all. I took the ring and tried to slide it onto my finger. Then I held my hand up in front of Chen Huyuan. I tilted my hand, and the ring easily slid off and fell to the floor. "This must be Chen Jia's size, right?" A flicker of awkwardness crossed Chen Huyuan's face. Then, he quickly tried to cover it up. "Maybe the designer got the size wrong. I'll have them redesign it." I said casually, "No need." There was no point anymore. Seeing my indifferent attitude, Chen Huyuan's brows furrowed. "Lucini, how long are you going to keep being unreasonable? I was going to talk to you nicely, but look at this terrible attitude of yours. I'm telling you now, Jejia will be staying at our place because of her health." Listening to him rant, his real purpose tonight was clear: to bring Chen Jia into our marital home openly and unapologetically. I didn't want to say anything more. I just nodded and turned into the room. Seeing my silence, he thought I had conceded. Then, he muttered quietly behind me, "Good thing I was smart back then and didn't put your name on the property deed, or who knows what kind of fuss you'd make now." Later that night, just as Chin Hyun lay down beside me, Chin Jia's call came through. Hyun gu, there's no one to stay with me at the hospital, I'm so scared. Hearing her, Chin Hyun immediately wanted to leave. At the same time, my phone rang too. It was my mom's call. Cindy, happy birthday. Her voice was loud, and Chin Hyun heard it. He froze, his foot already stepping out of bed stiffened. Today's your birthday? Why didn't you tell me sooner? But the next second, Chin Jia started crying again. A flicker of hesitation crossed Chin Hyun's eyes, but ultimately, he turned and left. I'll be back. Seeing his resolute back, I felt surprisingly calm, without any ripple of emotion. I just heard my own low voice say, thanks, Mom. I'm coming home. Back to my real home. There was a long pause on the other end. Finally, she replied, it's good you're coming back. Whatever you do, Mom supports you. My mom didn't ask why I wasn't getting married suddenly. She always knew I wasn't impulsive, there must be a reason. Chin Hyun didn't come back that entire night. The next day, after booking a flight, I went to the company to handle my resignation. When I got back home, it was already the middle of the night. When I tried entering the door lock code, it kept showing password incorrect. Helpless, I had to call Chin Hyun. He didn't answer several calls. In a moment of urgency, I kicked the door several times. After a while, the door finally opened. As soon as he saw me, Chin Hyun launched into accusations. I finally managed to coax Jejia to sleep. You making such a racket will wake her up again. I didn't respond to that. I just looked at him blankly. You changed the password, didn't you? Hearing my question, Chin Hyun's voice sounded noticeably weaker. Jejia couldn't remember the complex password, so I changed it. It's much easier to remember now, it's good. He'd only mentioned it yesterday, and Chin Hyun was already so eager to have Chin Jia move in. The original lock password was the date Chin Hyun and I first met. I also paid the down payment on this apartment. Chin Hyun was actually rich enough to buy the whole apartment outright. But back then, I was the one who said we should each contribute a bit so the home felt like ours. Hearing me say this, Chin Hyun became somewhat annoyed. So what? Are you going to start arguing about money with me now? He always managed to twist the conversation. My point was about the apartment I'd paid for. Why couldn't I get in? Seeing my silence, Chin Hyun took out his phone again. It's just money, isn't it? I'll transfer it to you right now. You really think just because you paid some money, you can act like you own the place. But he scrolled through his WeChat contacts several times and couldn't find my number. I had to point to my avatar to remind him. In his phone, the avatar was mine, but the name was my online username. No note, no pin to the top. He finally clicked into the chat window blankly. The most recent messages were from a few days ago, dozens of messages I'd sent him about the wedding. He hadn't replied to a single one. Of course, I also clearly saw the only chat he had pinned to the top. Chin Jia. Chin Hyun's face instantly went pale. He offered an explanation. Jejia has a heart condition, so I need to know her messages right away. Okay, Tr. Answer the money. After all, I was leaving, I couldn't afford to lose my share. This time, Chin Hyun silently transferred the money to me. When I entered the apartment, I found that the room Chin Hyun and I shared had been taken over by Chin Jia. All the red, festive wedding decorations were thrown into the trash. Jejia thought they were ugly, and I didn't think they were great either, so we just threw them away. She has a heart condition, don't make a big deal out of it. Chin Hyun repeated these same sentences over and over. I didn't make a scene like before. I walked straight into the guest room. In the middle of the night, Chin Hyun stood outside my locked door with a pillow, looking helpless. But after only a moment of hesitation, he went into Chin Jia's room. The next day, I woke up to find Chin Hyun had made a table full of breakfast. In the 8 years I'd lived with him, this was the first time I'd seen him cook. As I reached for a sandwich, Chin Hyun rushed over to my side. He slapped my hand hard. Jejia is a germaphobe, don't touch that. That one is yours. Following his gaze, I saw my breakfast. It was the failed, leftover scraps. Casually saying I'm not hungry, I went downstairs to eat breakfast. Chin Huyuan didn't have time to bother with me because Chin Jia was a big kid. She couldn't feed herself and needed Chin Huyuan to feed her bite by bite. After eating downstairs, I went back upstairs. Chin Huyuan saw me and called out, "Didn't you keep bugging me to go on a date with you? Jia just said she wants to go to the amusement park, so let's all go together." He thought by doing this little favor, all the unpleasantness that happened before would be forgotten. Just as I was about to refuse, Chin Huyuan grabbed my arm, pulled me downstairs, and shoved me into the car. After we got out of the car, Chin Jia excitedly said she wanted to ride the drop tower. "Sini Jia, let's ride it together." "No." I refused flatly. Chin Jia said. Sadly, since Sini Jia doesn't like playing with me, I won't force it. But hearing her words, Chin Huyuan became furious. "Lu Sini, can you stop being such a buzzkill? Jia is trying to be close to you, and you just push away people's kindness. Is that what makes you happy?" As he spoke, he grabbed my hand tightly, pulling me towards the drop tower. "If you don't go, we won't get married." That was his favorite line to hold over me, his ultimate leverage. But this time, I used all my strength to shake off his hand. I have a fear of heights, I told you this. I had only told him about this, and I had told him many times. Faced with my desperate struggle, he just said dismissively, "So what? No one's going to die. A woman's strength is never a match for a man's." With that, Chin Huyuan, true to his word, strapped me into the drop tower seat. The attendant, seeing the passengers were secured, pressed the start button. There was nothing more I could do to struggle. As the drop tower climbed to its highest point, my face was deathly pale, and my legs were shaking. It only lasted a few minutes, but it felt like forever. The drop tower finally stopped. After getting off the seat, I knelt down, trembling, a wave of dizziness washing over me. Chin Huyuan, seeing me like this, guiltily rubbed his nose. He was about to ask how I was, but Chin Jia pulled him aside. "Huyuan Gu, I want to ride the carousel with you, okay?" This time, Chin Huyuan hesitated. But Chin Jia pouted, and Chin Huyuan immediately surrendered. He just left me standing there. After a wave of dizziness, I finally couldn't stand it anymore and collapsed onto the ground. My white skirt was stained red with blood. When I woke up, the doctor was fussing over me, full of concern. "Young people just don't take care of themselves. Now look, you had so much fun you even lost the baby." I had miscarried. After a moment of daze, I accepted the reality. In fact, I had known I was pregnant. But maybe it was for the best. The baby was gone, and it severed all ties with Chin Huyuan. I thanked the doctor for their kindness, a stranger. Afterward, I stayed in the hospital for a few more days. During that time, Chin Huyuan didn't call me once. After being discharged, I returned to that so-called home. I started packing all my belongings. Halfway through, Chin Huyuan and Chin Jia came back, laughing and chatting. "Finally decided to come back?" Chin Huyuan said indifferently. My face showed no emotion. Seeing this, Chin Huyuan inexplicably became flustered. He dropped the mocking tone and walked over to me. "Jia is generous. She said she agrees to us getting married. We can finally get married, aren't you happy?" Looking at his thoughtless smile, I let out a little laugh. Seeing me like this, Chin Huyuan frowned. "What are you doing?" But the next second, my phone vibrated. It was a notification about a flight delay. Due to the weather, the departure time was moved to 3 days later. "What are you looking at so intently?" "Nothing." He snatched my phone, trying to unlock it. He tried several times, but it wouldn't work. I prompted him from the side, "The password is my birthday." After I said that, Chin Huyuan tried entering it a few more times, but it still showed incorrect. Even though the weather was cold, his forehead was covered in sweat. Finally, he threw it back at me in frustration. "Fine, don't look. What's the big deal?" My birthday had been just a few days ago. I already knew how little attention he paid. Just then, Chinjia suddenly asked curiously, "Hey, Sinijia, where are you going with your luggage?" Hearing this, Chen Huyuan finally realized. His eyes widened as he looked at me. "Are you running away from home?" Before I could answer, he grabbed my crossbody bag. No, I wasn't leaving until 3 days later. Even though I denied it, Chen Huyuan stubbornly pulled at my bag, trying to stop me from leaving. As we struggled, my bag suddenly fell to the ground. Everything inside spilled out, including the pregnancy test results. Chen Huyuan's movements froze. He bent down and picked it up. Seeing the pregnancy test report, he muttered excitedly, clearly overjoyed. "Sinny, you're pregnant?" With that, he excitedly hugged me. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Chen Huyuan really liked kids. But every time he was about to touch me, Chen Jiao would coincidentally appear, saying her heart hurt. So even though I'd been with Chen Huyuan for so long, I'd never gotten pregnant with him. It wasn't until 3 months ago, when Chen Jiao, who was always clinging to Chen Huyuan, suddenly had something to do. That day, Chen Huyuan also happened to have had a bit to drink. He ended up getting intimate with me. I got pregnant on the first try. I was quite happy when I found out. I had planned to tell Chen Huyuan as a surprise on our wedding day. "We'll have the wedding tomorrow, and get the marriage certificate the day after." Chen Huyuan's eyes seemed to sparkle. But unlike his happiness, Chen Jia on the side clearly looked upset. It was obvious she deeply regretted letting Chen Huyuan find out about my pregnancy by accident. "Huyuan Gu, isn't that too sudden? How about 2 days from now? That way we have time to prepare." But Chen Huyuan was completely immersed in the joy of having a child. He waved his hand dismissively. "Too sudden?" "Not at all." But then he thought for a moment and asked for my opinion. "Sinny, what do you think?" "I also think 2 days from now would be better." The third day was when I was scheduled to leave the city anyway. Okay then. Unlike before when I always had to propose to him, this time Chen Huyuan was unusually enthusiastic. He said he wanted to throw me a grand wedding. The next day, Chen Huyuan even brought in many designers to come to the house to design everything. The wedding dress, ring, veil, and shoes, everything was arranged for me. The designers were all top experts in their fields. While designing for me, the designers kept saying how blessed I must be in my previous life to have such a wonderful fiancé. Chen Huyuan was pleased to hear this and gave each of them a red envelope. Then, he looked at me with burning eyes. "Sinny, are you happy?" I didn't react much, but I felt nauseous. And at that moment, Chen Jia on the side would have another heart attack. Unlike before, this time Chen Huyuan hesitated for a long while before slowly walking over to comfort Chen Jia. I endured days like this, until the third day arrived, and Chen Huyuan had everything ready. This time, he invited a large number of relatives and friends, including his parents. The wedding was held at the most famous and luxurious hotel in Yincheng. Before the wedding began, the bride and groom were to get ready separately. In the dressing room, I told all the makeup artists to stop. They looked at me, hesitant and fearful. I told them whatever Chen Huyuan paid, I would pay several times more. Hearing my promise, they let me go. I grabbed my suitcase, wearing a simple t-shirt, and slipped out the back door of the hotel. Back then, Chen Huyuan abandoned me at the wedding venue, leaving me to face the pointing and whispers alone. Now, it was his turn to repay that debt. As soon as I came out the back door, Chen Jiao was blocking the way. She sneered, put her hands on her hips, and walked over casually. "Did you think I was going to stop you? You're wrong. It's because of you that Huyuan Gu reluctantly abandoned me to marry you. If it weren't for you, Huyuan Gu wouldn't have to go against his conscience and be with someone he doesn't like. It's best that you leave now. Then Huyuan Gu will be free and can see how good I am and be with me forever." Her words made me pause. Then, I slowly walked towards her. "Do you really think Chen Huyuan likes you? But love is about making a firm choice, isn't it? If he truly liked you, he would overcome all difficulties to be with you. If he really liked you, why was he so happy when he found out I was pregnant with his child?" Every word I spoke was like a sharp sword piercing Chinjia's heart. She cracked. "You're full of crap." She lunged at me fiercely, trying to hit me. My eyes turned cold. But I was faster than her. I delivered a hard, powerful slap across her face. This slap was for the child who never got the chance to live. Instantly, she covered her face, looking at me in disbelief. I didn't have time to deal with this. My flight was about to depart. I pushed Chinjiao aside and walked straight out. I hailed a taxi and headed immediately to the airport. Before boarding, my phone kept ringing, but I just turned it off and tossed it into my bag. Sitting on the plane, the view of Yunqing rapidly receded behind me. The city where I had spent 8 years. Finally, goodbye. I slept deeply for a long time. In my dream, it was the 8 years I spent with Chen Heyuan. Actually, Chen Heyuan wasn't like this at first. Back then, he was a poor young man, just starting his business, facing setbacks everywhere. He would take out all his money to buy the best things for me. He remembered everything about me, every anniversary, every important holiday, and he was always by my side. But later, Chen Jiao returned from abroad. She was his childhood sweetheart. Chen Heyuan became a wealthy new figure in Yunqing, but he drifted further and further away from me. I woke up, and the journey had just ended. After turning on my phone, there were thousands of missed calls, and my phone was flooded with news from Yunqing. It was yesterday's news about the CEO of the Chen Group, whose bride ran away from the wedding. There were also videos and photos. I clicked on the photos. I saw Chen Heyuan standing in the center of the banquet hall, surrounded by relatives and friends gossiping. His face was as dark as charcoal, and his hands were clenched into fists. After seeing that, my heart suddenly felt light. Then, without rushing, I called Chen Heyuan. As soon as he answered, Chen Heyuan demanded, "Where did you go? You're not answering calls or messages? Do you know how embarrassed I was yesterday?" I raised an eyebrow. "And what about me, back then?" Hearing my words, all the angry accusations Chen Heyuan was about to unleash got stuck in his throat. After a long time, he finally spoke. "I'm the CEO, after all." I interrupted him directly. "So what? Do ordinary people like us have no dignity, while your CEO status means your reputation is more important than anything?" Hearing my sarcasm, Chen Heyuan's tone softened slightly. "Let's call it even. Back then, I was just in a hurry because of Jejia's condition. But you deliberately embarrassed me, that's not right." Even when trying to be conciliatory, Chen Heyuan still had to assert his superiority. But I didn't care. "If there's nothing else, I'm going to hang up." Hearing me about to hang up, Chen Heyuan panicked. "Cindy, when are you coming back to get married? I'll reschedule the wedding plans." I scoffed. "I ran away from the wedding, didn't I? I'm not doing it to make you angry, it's not a joke, I really just ran away." Chen Heyuan's smile vanished. "Cindy, what are you talking about? You have my child in your belly, who else would you marry if not me?" "The baby is gone," I said coldly. As soon as the words left my mouth, Chen Heyuan immediately declared, "Impossible. I saw the pregnancy test report with my own eyes, how could it be fake?" I explained slowly, "Yes, I was pregnant, but you were the one who killed your child with your own hands, back when you pushed me onto that drop tower." A long silence followed on the other end of the line. "You're lying. I don't believe it. You must be saying this to make me angry. Cindy, I know I was wrong, but please don't joke about the baby's life, okay?" Hearing him, I just felt he was putting on an act. Believe it or not, the baby is definitely gone. We're completely done. From now on, we won't bother each other. You go your way, and I'll go mine. I won't allow it." Without waiting for Chen Heyuan to say anything more, I hung up the phone. After leaving the airport, it had been 8 years. Returning to Hongqiang, a surge of emotions welled up in my heart. When I arrived at my doorstep, everything was the same, every brick and tile. As soon as I opened the door, my mom saw me and immediately burst into tears, hugging me tightly. I grew up in a single-parent family, my dad died early, and my mom raised me by herself. Back then, I said I was going to another city for work development, but mostly, it was to be with Chin Huyuan in Yincheng. Yet, even though Chin Huyuan said he loved me, he never traveled all that way to my city. Actually, whether he loved me or not had always been clear. I just didn't see it at first. My mom and I talked about so many things. But from beginning to end, we didn't talk about Chin Huyuan. It was as if she didn't want to bring up painful memories for me. She didn't ask, and I didn't bring it up either. I was afraid she would hurt for me. We talked until late into the night before my mom finally let go of my hand. Cindy, you need to know, Mom is always here, by your side. My nose stung, and I quietly said yes. That night, my mom slept with me, just like when I was a child. I slept peacefully, without dreaming. When I woke up, I received another phone call. It wasn't Chin Huyuan. I had blocked all his numbers that day. It was from an unexpected person, the doctor who treated me when I had the miscarriage. He told me Chin Huyuan had come looking for me. He was acting like a madman, grabbing doctors and even passers-by by the collar, asking if I had really miscarried. Finally, that doctor stepped forward and threw all the evidence of my miscarriage in his face. Only then did Chin Huyuan stop. After learning the truth, Chin Huyuan looked utterly lost, collapsing in the hospital for a day and a night. Only AF. After fully accepting the news did he ask the doctor, with red-rimmed eyes, where I was now. But I hadn't told anyone where I was going, so how could the doctor know? In the end, Chin Huyuan walked away dejectedly. Don't forgive this kind of person, the doctor advised me over the phone in the end. I agreed. Actually, I hadn't initially wanted to tell Chin Huyuan about the baby because he didn't deserve to know. But now, learning about his reaction, I felt a strange sense of relief. He deserved to regret the child's loss for the rest of his life. After hanging up and having the breakfast my mom cooked for me, I took my job offer letter and went to a new company. I had already lined it up. With 8 years of work experience in Yunqing, the new company quickly hired me. After completing the onboarding process, I went home. When I got home, I found Chin Huyuan blocking the doorway. He was holding a bottle of alcohol, his face completely red. Seeing me, he immediately hugged me. Cindy, I missed you so much. I truly know I was wrong. The baby, that was my fault, but my heart hurts just as much as yours. But we're still young, we can have more kids. I was icy cold. But I don't want to have children with you. I've made myself very clear, we are completely over. But Chin Huyuan seemed not to hear, clinging to me like a drunkard. Are you done acting? I drank quite a bit of this for you, the alcohol content isn't high. Back when he was just starting his business, Chin Huyuan had to attend many drinking events, and I would step in to protect him from drinking too much because I cared about him. Hearing my words, Chin Huyuan's body stiffened. He pulled away. He looked at me with a bitter smile. Cindy, you've always been so smart, so strong, so excellent. Hearing the praise, I felt a chill run down my spine. I don't deserve it. I stepped back, avoiding him as if he were a plague. He looked even more pained. What do I have to do for you to forgive me? I can give you everything you want, a grand wedding, the title of Mrs. Chen, and all my assets. These are things others can only dream of. Anything you want, I can give you. After so many years, he still saw me as so superficial. Then when I go back, how will you deal with Chen Jia? Almost instinctively, Chin Huyuan blurted out, Jia has a heart condition, you know. I don't feel comfortable leaving her to someone else. I let out a cold laugh. Chin Huyuan's greedy nature was completely exposed. Seeing my disdain, he tentatively asked again. If you mind, I can buy a new house for us to move into. Jia is used to that apartment, so we'll just give it to her. I just quietly watched him, acting like he was making a huge sacrifice. Seeing my lack of reaction, he seemed about to say something else. His phone suddenly rang in his pocket. Huyuan Gu, are you going to see that woman? What's so special about such a wicked woman that she deserves your love? She's not worth it. Jia. This was the first time I had ever seen Chin Huyuan snap at Chin Jia. Sure enough, Chin Jia couldn't handle it. She sounded disbelieving. You're yelling at me? Huyuan Gu, you've never yelled at me before. Because of her, you're yelling at me? Chin Huyuan's head hurt from her shouting. Jia, I've always just seen you as a sister. Cindy is my future wife. Even threatening Chin Jia was a way to show me his stance. But the next second, Chin Jia's crying stopped abruptly. It was replaced by a sound of extreme pain. My heart hurts so much, Huyuan Gu, hurry. Hearing this, Chin Huyuan immediately panicked. He frantically yelled into the phone, Jia, are you okay? But there was no response from Chin Jia's end. Finally, Chin Huyuan looked at me deeply. With just one look, I understood what he meant. Go on, or Chin Jia might actually die. Then, after a moment of hesitation, Chin Huyuan quickly ran off. Chin Jia's clumsy acting only worked on Chin Huyuan. Ever since I found out Chin Huyuan had come looking for me at home, my mom had been wary of him. I had told her everything about the 8 years with Chin Huyuan. If you asked who my mom hated the most right now, it would undoubtedly be Chin Huyuan. Several times, Chin Huyuan came to my house when I wasn't there. My mom was home, and she literally chased him away with a broom. Other times, my mom wasn't home, but I was. I'd look through the peephole and see Chin Huyuan. Maybe because it was an old apartment, the soundproofing wasn't very good. Through the door, I told Chin Huyuan to leave. If you're not tired of this, I am. Blocking my door every day. Aren't you Mr. Chin, the CEO with the biggest reputation? Aren't you embarrassed? But Chin Huyuan seemed to have adopted a nothing-to-lose attitude. When you're chasing your wife, your reputation has to take a back seat. He thought he was being deeply affectionate, but it only made me feel sick. Where's your Chin Jia? Shouldn't you go back and comfort her? If you stay here, she might have another episode. When I mentioned Chin Jia, Chin Huyuan seemed to get excited. Cindy, I mean what I say. I've sent Jia abroad. She won't appear in front of you again. This should be enough, right? Chin Huyuan. I suddenly called his name seriously, which made his heart inexplicably tremble. You actually knew Chin Jia's heart condition was fake, didn't you? After I said that, I could see Chin Huyuan looking completely flustered through the peephole. Everyone knew, but you pretended not to. Weren't you just seeking that feeling, satisfying your thrill of wanting to have it all? He didn't say anything because what I said was the truth. In that moment, it was as if all his pretenses had been ripped away. His face turned ashen, and he said hoarsely, Cindy, don't call me that. It's disgusting. He wouldn't give up. Cindy, I know you're the most generous person. You've forgiven me so many times before, can't you forgive me this time? 2. Hearing this, I was baffled. I couldn't understand how he could say such a thing. No, never. It's not just Chin Jia who's a germaphobe. I am too. I can't stand anything dirty. At that, the light in Chin Huyuan's eyes shattered. Just as he was about to say something else to try and win me back, my mom happened to return. The moment she saw Chin Huyuan, she physically went after him. And Chin Huyuan, seeing my mom, scurried away like a mouse. I had said everything I possibly could to finish things. If Chin Huyuan had any shred of decency left, he wouldn't dare bother me again. But I didn't expect Chin Huyuan to stoop even lower. Not long after, a wave of public declarations of love swept the internet. It started with Chin Huyuan posting a long plea online, asking for forgiveness. In it, he portrayed himself as a deeply devoted man who had unintentionally hurt his first love due to malicious interference. He painted himself as a reformed man, worth his weight in gold. Unsuspecting netizens were moved to tears, saying that devoted men like Chin Huyuan were rare. People called out for his first love to come forward and forgive him. Riding the wave of surging popularity, Chin Huyuan also posted photos from our first date on Weibo. My colleagues awkwardly tapped me on the shoulder, asking if the person in the picture was me. That's how I found out about it. Soon, the media also surrounded the company, blocking the entrance completely. Because it directly affected the company, they kindly suggested I take a few days off and return to work after the commotion died down. It was essentially paid leave. Holding the leave slip, I walked out of the company. The media saw me and swarmed me like mice spotting rice. But I calmly told everyone to calm down. Regarding this matter, I will give everyone an explanation. After saying that, I calmly walked through the crowd of reporters and left. I didn't go home. Instead, I rented a hotel room. I was afraid the media would track me down to my house and affect my mom. Chin Hyuan's move had impacted my work and my life. He did all of this to force me into submission. But since he had lost all decency, I could lose mine too. Before, I never liked to air my private matters in public. But now, I had no choice but to lay everything bare and tell the public. I posted the miscarriage report and the video from the first wedding day online. I also included a long post detailing my efforts and sacrifices for Chin Hyuan over the past 8 years. Perhaps these weren't enough proof. But when the doctor who treated me came forward to testify, the media and public opinion quickly turned. Some media outlets dug deeper and found the key person mentioned in my post, Chin Jia. They investigated her thoroughly. Her so-called heart condition was completely fake. She had bribed the hospital, and they had fabricated the diagnosis. Chin Hyuan was completely exposed, his reputation was severely damaged, leading to a drop in his company's stock. The hospital that forged the fake diagnosis was also affected, and there was widespread condemnation of Chin Jia and Chin Hyuan. Some popular online phrases emerged. Fake girls every year, scheming types everywhere. Once a deceiver, always a deceiver. After the matter escalated, Chin Hyuan was scrambling to handle public relations for his company, but he still found time to text me from someone else's phone. "Cindy, do you really have to be so cruel?" His words were filled with helplessness and frustration. I ignored him. The matter subsided. After the truth was revealed, the company lifted the restriction on me. Chin Hyuan was preoccupied with the fallout and didn't bother me anymore. Feeling light and free, I enjoyed life with my mom, and my career also saw new progress. In the annual review, my performance was top-notch, and I was promoted and got a raise. As the new year approached, the company gave out generous bonuses. My mom was sentimental about the old place, so I used the money to renovate the old house, making it more comfortable for her. Life was good and fulfilling. But just before New Year's Eve, an unexpected event occurred. I saw someone I hadn't seen in a long time. That day, after finishing my last workday of the year, dusk had already fallen. Walking home, I felt a lingering gaze on me. It was strong, filled with longing and frustration. When I suddenly turned around, the person the gaze belonged to had nowhere to hide. Caught off guard, I saw him. From a distance, I saw a figure stretched long by the streetlights. It had only been a few months, but Chin Hyuan had changed so much. He looked haggard and unkempt. His hair was messy, and he hadn't shaved his stubble. Knowing I had noticed him, Chin Hyuan opened his mouth but didn't say anything. We weren't even old friends anymore. After everything that had happened, we were practically enemies. I had no desire to catch up with him. Out of sight, out of mind. I turned and walked away. But just then, a sudden angry shout rang out. "Die, you bitch!" In the moonlight, I clearly saw who was speaking. Chin Jia was holding a sharp knife, charging at me recklessly. She was muttering to herself. "If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have gone to that godforsaken foreign country, where I couldn't speak the language and was bullied relentlessly. And now that I'm finally back, I still have to face weird looks from everyone." The internet still remembered, netizens still knew who Chin Jia was. Worst of all, Hyuan Go was actually convinced by you, you vixen. "I'm going to stab you right now and deliver justice." In an instant, the knife was inches away. Chin Hyuan suddenly ran towards me, but it was no use. But looking at Chin Hyuan, and then at the sharp knife, the next second, I simply executed a spinning back kick. Not only was the knife sent flying, but Chin Jia herself was sent flying with it. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. Chin Jia, who had fallen to the ground, looked at me resentfully, while Chin Hyuan stared at me in astonishment. Indeed, I had lived over a third of my life. And I had learned a lot. Relying on others is not as good as relying on yourself. Helping others is not as good as helping yourself. Only you can control your own life. The day I returned to Hongqing, I started learning Taekwondo. This moment, it had finally come in handy. I don't know which kind stranger called the police, but Chen Jiao was arrested for attempted assault. I calmly dusted myself off and picked up a small bottle that had fallen out of my bag during the spinning back kick. But Chen Huyuan picked it up before I could. Seeing the label on the bottle, he looked at me in disbelief. "Cindy, you have a heart condition?" I snatched the bottle back. "Yes, but the doctor just told me today that I've fully recovered." "You..." Chen Huyuan choked up, his eyes were bloodshot and tears streamed down his face. Thousands of words condensed into that one sentence. "I'm sorry. I don't expect to be your lover anymore, but at least can we still be friends?" I didn't answer him directly. Instead, I lightly tossed the bottle in my hand into a nearby trash can. It landed right in. "You're like this medicine bottle. It's hard to swallow and chokes you, bitter and astringent. Once you finally don't need it, of course, you throw it away immediately. Why would I keep it around?" With that, I turned and walked away. Hearing my answer, Chen Huyuan collapsed onto the ground, looking utterly defeated. When I got home, my mom saw me washing my shoes and asked what I was doing. I said, "They got dirty." During the new year, there was big news in Yunqing. The young CEO of a well-known company suffered alcohol poisoning, was rushed to the hospital, but couldn't be saved and passed away. At that time, I was watching the fireworks in Hongqing with my mom. "Look, a shooting star. Make a wish." My mom patted my shoulder, looking at me expectantly. I closed my eyes and made a sincere wish. Life is still young, keep moving forward towards a fulfilling life. The end.